Let's bring in Republican Michael Waltz out of Florida. Sir, good morning to you. You're one of two House Republicans urging the White House to go ahead and investigate Wuhan. This is what Brett Gerard told us yesterday about the sometimes on-again, off-again relationship between Fauci and Donald Trump 1 year ago. Listen.
There was no pattern of mutations that suggests that it went right from an animal in a natural situation to humans. And there's still no evidence to show that. So that statement was completely wrong. It was obvious to be antagonistic to President Trump and to the administration.
We're taking all this in. What do you hope to find? What do you think about Gerard dropping, well, what were a few small little bomblets here yesterday?
Well, you know, Bill, behind all of this and underneath all of this is the controversy over gain-of-function research. And people need to understand it was incredibly controversial. This essentially takes a virus and puts it on steroids to see how it spreads amongst humans, to be able to, its advocates say, to be able to predict how the virus will then spread. But there's a lot of detractors. It's very controversial, so much so that the Obama administration put a pause on it in 2014. And somewhere in there, according to Josh Rogan of the Washington Post, in 2017, it was turned back on at the direction of Dr. Fauci in coordination with the Office of Science and Technology Policy in the White House. My committee has oversight of that office. Representative Frank Lucas, the ranking Republican, has joined me in trying to get to the bottom of how was that decision made to turn this controversial research back on, one of the premier institutes of which was the Wuhan Institute of Virology. And then number two, going forward, right, what is the White House's position on funding this type of controversial research? What are we going to do going forward? Do they continue to support putting money behind it? Or are we going to go back to a ban, given that 3 million people are dead around the world, possibly as a result of this controversial research leaking out?
Okay, let me go through a few things here, all right? Fauci did an interview with the Financial Times. Yeah. We believe that the U.S. government was doing about $600,000 a year to these different labs around, of which there were only 3, by the way. I'll come back to that point. He said this: are you really saying that we are implicated because we gave a multi-billion-dollar institution $120,000 a year for bat surveillance? Now, Gerard tells me even if it's $600,000 a year, that's not a significant amount of money. What I do find significant is the overall lack of curiosity going back 15 months ago. If you read this Vanity Fair piece, which is 40 pages in length, there's so much intel in there, information in there as well. Yep. It shows that only 3 labs in the entire world were doing this kind of research. One was in Galveston, Texas, one was in North Carolina, and one was in Wuhan, China.
Yeah, but the problem is the State Department itself and a number of others had said that the security protocols in Wuhan were very lax. So I think what Vanity Fair and these Fauci emails are showing are 3 key things. One, that we have a whole ecosystem of scientists in the United States and around the world that are financially, because of the grant monies, professionally and reputationally heavily invested in this type of research, and had every incentive to make sure that the narrative that they were wrong and that it leaked out was suppressed. Number 2, you had a media that as soon as President Trump said it could have been Wuhan and it was and China is at fault, reflexively, in an antibody-like response, sought the opposite narrative. And then 3, you had a massive Chinese government propaganda campaign. And all of those things, I think, have suppressed this story. But we owe it to the American people to get to the bottom of not only what happened that led to 3 million dead, but what is the administration's position going forward on this type of research that puts kind of, I describe it as the virus on steroids to see how it spread. And the Fauci-led scientific community, what was described in that Vanity Fair article, for this to come out that they were wrong and it actually leaked would kind of be like what Chernobyl or 3 Mile Island did to nuclear science.
Okay, you're raising
That's what that narrative would do.
You raise a
virology.
number of interesting points. Michael Waltz, thank you, sir, for coming in. We're going to pick this up with you very soon again. Sir, thank you out of Florida today.
We're going to get to the bottom of it, Bill. Absolutely.
Thank you, Congressman.